Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
She's always got a good engine. I've seen that in her previous fights. I didn't know if she could, bring that to welterweight because it is a lot of extra weight to carry. And I thought it took her a couple of rounds to get into it. And I just thought, I think that was the experience I'd had at that weight. I had myself, or Joe had me, I think, 3 rounds up for the first 3 rounds. So yeah, it was just probably a slow start, Costa.
And in the opinions of the people directly under that video, really any video detailing the fight, an overwhelming amount of individuals that took in the fight yesterday feel that Mikaela Mayer was robbed, that the right woman didn't win the fight. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find any video from any content creator talking about that fight. You'd be hard-pressed to find people that think Natasha won legitimately.
Yeah, there's always one or two, but they're in the minority because the vast majority of people that saw that fight are of the opinion that Mikaela won.
Had one guy leave a comment under my previous video detailing the fight that it was close, and even calling that fight close is nothing short of gaslighting. The duplicitous nature of some people and their need to be right. Whether you're a Liverpool fan rooting for the Liverpool fighter, or you pick Natasha to win and you're just doubling down on that pick.
Everybody's got an angle.
Everybody except for me, because if you've been following this channel long enough, you'll know that I'm actually not that big on Mikaela Mayer. I'm actually more a fan of Natasha Jonas. I'm actually more a fan of Alicia Baumgartner.
I'm actually more partial to them, but I think Mikaela won yesterday. I think she won the fight.
And so does reigning WBO welterweight champion Sandy Ryan, who scored it 6-4 in favor of Mikaela Mayer. And when the judges' scorecards were read, she said, "Boxing stinks." Once again, former IBF champion Ebony Bridges said, "I watched Jonas versus Mayer ringside, and it was an incredible fight. Brilliant display of boxing from both, but I had Mayer winning it. That 97-93, just rewatched it on TV and still have Mayer winning it. I could give it 96-94, but I can't see Jonas winning. However, the rounds were close and very competitive. They both looked amazing. Jonas looked the best she's looked, in my opinion. Not mine, I think she looked the worst she's looked in a while. But I didn't think it was enough to beat Mayer's work rate and pressure, ring control."
What a lot of people like to do in these situations, the ones who want to gaslight everybody into thinking, no, it was close, it wasn't a robbery. What some of them like to do is they like to call you a casual. But I don't think Sandy Ryan's a casual. She's world champion. So was Ebony Bridges.
So was Ishe Smith, who said, "Heads up, champ. Heads up, Mikaela. I thought you edged it out. Almost impossible to get a fair shake over there."
One world champion from the United Kingdom, another former world champion from Australia, and yet another from the United States, all saying the same thing. Mikaela should have won.
And they can't all have an agenda, can they? Boxing scribe Adam Catterall said, "We need a unified scoring criteria in boxing to hold people accountable. It's what you like, quote-unquote, is bollocks. You can't put in the performance of your life away, outland your opponent in 7 out of the 10 rounds, and lose because 3 people are making it up as they go along ringside say so."
And Adam's from the UK, not the US, so I don't think he has a regional agenda.
Perhaps some of the people in Liverpool do, but not everyone in the United Kingdom. I saw both Barry McGuigan and his son Shane saying they felt Mikaela won the fight. They're from the UK too. Veteran commentator Al Bernstein from the US said, "I just rewatched and scored Mayer versus Jonas. Congrats to both for a great fight. No question in my mind. Mayer won. Rounds 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Clear Mayer rounds, possibly 6, more closely. Overall, she threw more, landed more, controlled the tempo. Jonas's holding was never even called by the ref. That by every quantifiable metric you use to score a round, Mikaela should have won more rounds. And if so many people on both sides of boxing are having an adverse reaction, it's because what they're used to seeing and what usually wins a round didn't win Mikaela those rounds. And they can't reconcile it any other way other than home cooking. You were the away fighter facing the Liverpool fighter in Liverpool, and you got some home cooking, or she did, on the scorecards.
Simple as.
Don't give me the bit about it being a close fight and how close fights aren't robberies, because even implying that the fight was close seems like more gaslighting from duplicitous,
Disingenuous and immoral individuals.
I'm not a big fan of Michaela Mayer. I'm a bigger fan of Alicia Baumgartner. I'm a bigger fan of Natasha Jonas, and I've said that more than once here on this channel. But what separates me from a lot of people is I don't let personal preferences get in the way of objectivity. And objectively speaking, Michaela won the fight. And this many people on both sides of the industry would not be reacting the way they're reacting if it actually were a close fight. No, it wasn't close. It was a highway robbery. Veteran boxing scribe Michael Benson described it as a controversial split decision. Michaela's comments on it, she said, "I thought I did enough to win. I would have given her the first round or two, but after that I feel like I outpunched her and landed the cleaner shots. I think that fight is worth seeing again. I hope Natasha will be the stand-up champion that she is and give me another shot by all rights."
I can't find 5 or 6 rounds to give Natasha Jonas, and the idea that you can, yeah, that's ridiculous.
If you're one of these people saying, one of the few, endorsing this victory as a legitimate victory, you're in the minority, and you know you're in the minority. That's why you're going to people, gaslighting them and telling them, no, it wasn't a robbery, it was a close fight. You need them to believe it.
Because you see how many of them don't. Go ahead, take an independent poll right now on any social media platform. This one, Twitter.
And it's gonna come back the same way every single time, that you could spit in the wind right now and hit somebody that feels Mayer was robbed. So don't tell me it was a close fight. The Liverpoolian got a home-cooked decision in Liverpool, simple as. In men's super lightweight news, Ryan Garcia's now deleted tweet, and I wonder why he deleted it. Perhaps it's because he may still be negotiating with at least one of these fighters. Ryan said, at the end of the day, Rollies and Pitbull, do what you want. I don't need any of you at all. None of you want to fight and make the biggest purse of your life. It's not my problem. Go ahead and fight amongst yourselves. And it is true that either Rolly Romero or Isaac Cruz, you know, they might end up making more money with Ryan than they did with Gervonta. They might. Hell, Gervonta made more money with Ryan than he made fighting them.
When Isaac fought Gervonta, he fought him as a late replacement, a stand-in for Rolly. What do you think? They broke the bank for Isaac Cruz to be a late replacement. What do you think they gave Rolly?
He was just a mandatory going into that fight with Gervonta. A mandatory for Gervonta's secondary regular title. In this situation, he's a champion, a full-fledged champion for better or worse, a defending champion who likely would make more to fight Ryan than what he made fighting Gervonta. But if they want to negotiate themselves out of a career-high purse that might dwarf what they made with Gervonta, then so be it.
Go on, go fight each other on pay-per-view and see what that brings in. Or worse, go fight on somebody's undercard.
That would be worse, because you're not going to convince me that you make more fighting each other on an undercard than you could make headlining opposite the ring Ryan Garcia. Let's cut the fucking crap here.
Ryan is still in a pickle, though.
He is. He's campaigning at a weight where peril awaits at every single turn. I mean, there's a lot of risky fights in that division. They're good fights and they're interesting fights, but they're also risky fights. And Ryan Garcia himself is not viewed in the same lens as, say, a Devin Haney or a Teofimo Lopez, those young fighters. He's not thought of as being on the same level as those young fighters. Thus, campaigning at 140 now, it is perilous, but he's got to fight somebody. So I recommend that if you're not fighting Rolly and you're not fighting Isaac, you should fight Ishmael Barroso. You heard what I said. You should fight Ishmael Barroso for WBA interim status so that you can force the fight with the winner of Rolly versus Cruz. And if Rolly ends up vacating his title, you know who it goes to. It goes to Ishmael. So you could fight him for that. In either scenario, Ishmael Barroso seems to me to be the ideal candidate for Ryan's next fight, because if Rolly's fighting Isaac, he's not fighting Ishmael. Any way you slice it, whether he pays him to step aside or he surrenders his belt to him,
Ishmael is the guy.
and you say that, well, Ishmael isn't that kind of risky. Listen, everything is risky for Ryan Garcia at 140. Anything and everything, and anyone from Richardson Hitchens to Jack Catterall to Devin Haney to Teofimo Lopez to Subriel Matias, hell, even Sandor Martin is a risky fight for Ryan Garcia. So Barroso being risky.
This whole fucking division is risky. At some point, you're gonna have to take a risk. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Both of those two idiots left you high and dry, and without a dance partner. If they negotiated themselves out of a career-high purse, this is what you do. You fight Ishmael, you beat him, you get his interim status or his belt, and that will show them, because Ishmael Barroso has fast become a credible scalp in this division.
He was well on his way to beating Romero. He was up on the cards when Tony Weeks stopped it. That dubious stoppage, and he just knocked out O'Hara Davies in a round, a single round. He's a credible guy, and he can punch, but so can a lot of guys at this weight. What the hell are you gonna do, avoid them all?
Gotta get your hands dirty. You're not gonna get anywhere fighting more Oscar Duarte kind of guys, unheralded guys. You're popular now, but how can you hope to maintain it if all you fight are unheralded contenders and fringe contenders?
Gotta get your hands dirty.
You should fight Ishmael Barroso, who, if Rolly ends up fighting Isaac, Ishmael won't be otherwise preoccupied with anything. We know that Ishmael wants that rematch with Rolly, but he's not likely to get it. So Ryan should get him. He's not as expensive as Rolly, not as expensive as Isaac. No prima donna antics. He'll take that opportunity with both hands. That's who I think Ryan should fight in this scenario. In men's light heavyweight news, Dmitry Bivol says he made Canelo respect 175 pounds. I beat him once. I'm good. The Canelo subject is now closed. It is true that it's not Dmitry that needs a rematch. It's not him that needs redemption.
Where I disagree with some others is that Canelo has something to be ashamed of. He has nothing to be ashamed of.
How can I make negotiations difficult? We didn't even discuss it, to be honest. Nothing. He had his dates already, and then I saw in the news that the problem was me. It was funny. I beat him once. I'm good. Bivol told BoxingScene.com in an interview, I'm not a big light heavyweight fighter. I can make 168, but only for the belts. Canelo has the belts, and that is why I wanted to fight him. But now, we have other plans, and we will follow our plans, and then we will see. Maybe in the future. I don't know when, but now I am focused on being the undisputed champion in the light heavyweight division. That's more realistic than the other fight. I hope I will fight for undisputed in my weight class, because the subject with Canelo is now closed.
It's done.
Dmitry Bivol did such a comprehensive job on Canelo Alvarez when they fought that I don't see the need for a second fight, for a rematch at either 175 or 168 for Canelo's belts or Dimitri's belt. I don't see a need for it, but once again, the disconnect between me and a lot of other people is that Canelo somehow has something to be ashamed of because Dmitry beat him. Dmitry Bivol believes his dominant decision win, in which he outlanded Alvarez 152-84 across 12 rounds, forced the four-division champion Alvarez to reconsider another run at 175 pounds. I think at one moment he felt that he should respect this weight class. He respects, I think, said Bivol. But let's be honest about something here.
What?
When Canelo Alvarez debuted as a professional in his teens, he debuted at 140 pounds. This is not a big guy. He don't have a big frame.
He's not a real light heavyweight. That he even won a belt up there is a wonder, because he's a small guy.
Won a WBO title from Sergey Kovalev, a two-time light heavyweight champion. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that victory, because even that version of Sergey is a better fighter and a better version of a fighter than any fighter that you'll find on, say, Demetrius Andrade's resume, Jermall Charlo's resume, David Benavidez's resume. That's right. I'd wager that the Sergey Kovalev that Canelo Alvarez fought would beat any and every fighter that David Benavidez has fought.
And it's a wonder that a guy as small as Canelo, a guy who debuted at 140, he barely has a super middleweights frame, let alone a light heavyweight. It's a wonder that he ever won a title up there.
And it's a wonder that he went back for more, because he really didn't have to. He could have sat right there at 168 the way the rest of those guys do. They won't dare go up to 175. Bigger and younger fighters than Canelo won't dip their toe in the pool at 175 because there's sharks in the water. And they know it. But Canelo Alvarez did, not once, but twice. That's 2 more times than David Benavidez has ever been a light heavyweight.
He's a lot bigger than Canelo. Younger, too. That if what Dmitry Bivol did was beat the man to be the man, then shouldn't he be the guy that everybody's after? And he isn't.
They know why. Dmitry Bivol sat out most of last year, and you tell me what would have made for a bigger and better fight. Benavidez versus Plant, who Canelo already knocked out, or Benavidez versus Bivol, who who beat Canelo.
Benavidez versus Andrade, who never beat anyone worth remembering, or Benavidez versus Bivol. What would have made for a bigger and better fight that would have got more attention? Because neither of David's pay-per-view appearances managed to move the needle. That one could have.
That's what David Benavidez's fabulous fans, his army of Jotos, won't tell you. That David Benavidez had a golden opportunity to get Dmitry in the ring because Dmitry didn't do nothing most of the year. Instead of fighting Caleb and fighting Demetrius, you could have fought him to show Canelo how it's done. And that fight, that victory, would have done more for your profile than beating those guys, but therein lies a dilemma. You know you don't beat that guy. If you thought you could have, you would have.
Dmitry, well over a year ago, beat the man to be the man, and instead of chasing him, you're chasing the man he beat.
You can't make it up, and that's a big part of why I don't think there's any shame in Canelo Alvarez trying his luck at 175 and coming up short. I mean, he's been up there 2 more times than a naturally bigger guy in David Benavidez. It's not like anybody stepped up after Canelo to show him how it's done. That after Dmitry beat Canelo, you heard Demetrius Andrade call him basic, and you heard David Benavidez say he thinks he can beat him, but not a single one of them went up there to show and prove.
They're not about to. I'm supposed to believe that Demetrius Andrade would have beat Dmitry Bivol. He's heading back down to middleweight. And David can talk a good one, and so can his Joto fans.
That's all they're good for. They're just bitching and moaning until September of this year when David can get his crack at the apple. And I'm looking forward to that. I love watching PBC fighters get exposed.
Like Inouye exposed Fulton, and Terrence exposed Spence. More recently, Joseph Parker exposed Deontay Wilder. I love it.
Dmitry is right. He gave Canelo a new perspective and a reason to respect the light heavyweight division, and he hasn't been back there ever since. But unlike some others, unlike them, I don't think Canelo has anything to be ashamed of because he's really not a big guy. Bigger guys than him won't try their luck once at 175, where he's been up there twice.
So what's your excuse?
That you'd make more money fighting Canelo? Yes, I know how your minds work. You guys don't fight to win. You just show up to get paid.
You're just showing up for a check, like Jamel did.